So good morning, everyone. My name is Samantha. I am one of the teen librarians here at the Levittown Public Library. And during the month of July and August, we are honored to be celebrating our first responders. And specifically today, we are very excited to have Officer David Brohman from the 8th Precinct Pop Unit. And he's going to be explaining kind of what it's like to be in the law enforcement and how he got there. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Welcome, Officer Brohman. Thank you so much for joining us today. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Officer David Brohman, Nassau County Police Department. I'm in the 8th Precinct. Currently in the POP unit, which is Problem Oriented Policing unit. Basically, we handle situations where patrol cannot. For instance, patrol goes to a call, they handle it, they go back to the street and do another call, where we would go and interact more with the public and complaints and take care of things where we could kind of mediate things a little bit better. We're more personal and more interaction with the public to get things accomplished. We work with legislators, the schools, a lot of vehicle and traffic complaints. So that's basically what we do here in the POP unit. Before this, I was on patrol in some sector cars. I worked midnights for a couple of years. And then I went to days, and let's see, 5 years ago, I was asked to come into the POP unit when they brought the POP unit back to the county police. I started being a police officer in 2003 with the New York State Park Police. I went to the academy upstate, went through the academy there, and got assigned, lucky enough, down to the Long Island region. I worked down here at Jones Beach, Robert Moses, Exeter State Park. It was a great experience, great people there. It was just the reason I took the Nassau police test was there was no family life. I was pretty much working almost 500 hours of overtime in the summer alone to make ends meet over there. So I was lucky enough to get the call here that I passed the test, went through all the testing, and that was in 2008. So since 2008, I've been a Nassau County police officer.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit about, why law enforcement? Why, what got you started? Why did you decide to go into this particular career field?
All right. Well, first, I hate to say it, after 9/11, which was 2001, I started thinking about it more and more. I took a couple tests, and I happened to get called, like I said, for the first one. It was the State Park Police, and I took it. Of course, with the family, I had to discuss it, and I found out that my great grandfather was actually the chief of police in Miami. So that kind of like turned me to it also. So that pretty much was it. I took the test, and like I said, I went through my psychological exam, the physical fitness exams, more background checks to get in, and I passed and went to the academy upstate. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Why?
Awesome. And now I know you said, you went to the academy upstate. And so can you talk a little bit about that? Obviously, if there's a teen that's interested in the career field, where do they start? Obviously, there's testing that has to be done. They have to go to the academy. So what is the process of getting into law enforcement?
Okay. First thing is, I know you have to have a certain age requirement. I believe in Nassau, you have to be 17 to 35 to take the test. And you also, to take the test, you don't need college credits, but you do need, I believe, 32 college credits to be appointed. Okay. So that's an important thing to let everyone know. Obviously, you have to be a U.S. citizen. There's a background investigation. You have to be a resident of the 5 boroughs, Westchester or Nassau or Suffolk as well, to be appointed. And you have to keep residency in one of those boroughs. So that's pretty much it for requirements. You got to take the test. the written test. After that, you take a physical fitness exam, which is, I think it's a 1.5 mile run. You have to do a certain amount of push-ups and sit-ups. If you pass that, then you go on to take the psychological test, which is, it's a little grueling, it's a little repetitive, and they do that on purpose to make sure you're not lying. And then after that, you have another sit down with everybody, or your background investigators, excuse me, and you just wait, and hopefully you get that letter in the mail saying, hey, you're going to the academy on such and such date. When that occurs, my big point of advice, it's a game. The academy is a game. Just play the game. And if you go into the academy with the instructors not knowing your name and leaving with the instructors not knowing your name, excuse me, you won the game. So you don't want to be noticed. You want to go in, do your thing, and go out. And that's what it was for me for both academies. It was great. Like I said, I did the State Park Police Academy, and then for the Nassau Police Academy as well. So that's pretty much it for how to get into it. You don't really, when you go to college, you don't need a background in criminal justice, but it's a good thing to have. But you don't need it. It's a test. The test, when you take, is a general test. It's not a test of your knowledge of the penal law or the vehicle and traffic law. It's not like that. It's a more of a general knowledge test.
Gotcha. Okay, and I know you said you needed 32 college credits to be appointed, but that could be then in anything, right? It doesn't have to be in a specific area.
Correct.
Okay, great. And then what can you, I don't know if you can tell us, what is it like to actually like go through the academy? Is it physically grueling? Is there certain things that teens should be aware of before going?
It is, yes, it's very physical. You'd have to get your running down. There's a lot of running. All right. Almost every day you go out and you run. You got to keep up. It's a little grueling in the beginning. They're on you, you know, pretty much like it's a paramilitary. So they're on you. They're trying to break you down to build you back up pretty much. And they try to weed out the weak, I would say. And people that can't take pressure. That's what they're trying to do in the first couple of weeks. Just like if you see any boot camp training for any of the militaries, it's the same thing. And then after that, it slows up a little bit. Then it becomes more intense with the education, and and then it comes, after the education comes the training. For the State Park Police, we did ATV training, we did marine boat certification training, we did rappelling off of cliffs training. So that job entails a lot more compared to Nassau. But Nassau, it's more of the education. They want you to know everything. Then again, the police training does kick in after that.
So I guess my other question would be, what happens after the academy? Obviously, you said you're appointed, right? So could you get any particular region? Is it, residency comes into play, or how does that factor in?
I'll stick with Nassau County Police Department because that's where I'm at now. So,
okay.
After you graduate, you do field training, which is another, I'm not sure, like 3-4 weeks maybe of training. You're with a partner. They call him a field training officer. And basically you mirror that officer and you do the reports, you see how it goes. You're learning the job on the street now, out of academy settings. So after that, then you're on your own. So that was for that. But after the academy, you put in like a wish list, pretty much, of where you'd like to go out of the 8 precincts, and you wish for the best. You get what you get. You can't, if you put in for the 8th precinct and you get the 3rd precinct, you're going to do your time in the 3rd precinct first before you put in for a transfer request. And You can't ask for nights, you can't ask for days. It's whatever's assigned to you, in the beginning anyway.
Right. Okay. And then one thing I forgot to ask was, I know you said, the training after the academy is about 3 to 4 weeks. How long is it that you're in the academy for approximately?
6 to 7 months.
6 to 7 months. Okay, great. And then once you're out and you're on the field, what is your typical day like? I know obviously that can change drastically depending on what unit you're in and
Right.
what your hours are like, but if you had to give a general.
So for patrol, every day is different. That's one thing that I liked being on patrol. You came to work, you didn't know what was going to happen. You could have a slow day, you could have a busy day going call to call. You go from auto accidents to having a cardiac, a person with a cardiac arrest, to someone burglarizing a commercial building, to just a slip and fall that you needed to help somebody up. Um, there's so many things that can possibly happen in a day. You can't plan your day. You just can't do it. It's that's what makes being a police officer exciting as well, in my heart. So there's just then there's the vehicle and traffic. If it's a little slower, you can go and enforce the vehicle and traffic law. Again, Nassau County's got a lot of aided cases. I don't know if you know that we are the only police department in the area that has its own police ambulance and the police medics.
Oh,
So Suffolk County would use all volunteers. We have our own police medics, which is great because the response time is second to none. So as soon as they get their call, they're on their way. So the response time is, it's very good here.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Great. And then let's talk a little bit about working conditions just over in general. I know you said that, there was no family life when you first started, that obviously you really don't have a choice in whether you're working days or nights. You're assigned what you're assigned. So could you talk a little bit about, what teens should be prepared for as far as limitations on their personal, social life, things like that?
Okay. Well, I'll start with, because this is the newest thing now, the newest craze is the social media. If you become a police officer, delete your accounts. Stay off of social media, because that hurts you. That will hurt you. I've seen plenty of officers being suspended for silly things, silly posts, silly pictures. Just stay away from it. I know it's a tough thing nowadays, but that's my bit of advice for that.
So what also, obviously we say every day is different. So how often would you say that your job assignments change? Obviously, you're doing different things every day, but I mean, when you're assigned to a particular time and precinct, does that change often? Is it something that you're in for a year and then you change, how often does that change?
Well, you're in what they call probation for, I believe it's 2 years. So typically you would stay in the precinct that you were assigned to straight out of the academy. And then you can put in for a transfer. That's not a problem. You're not guaranteed it, but you can put in for a transfer. Typically, to get into a specialized unit, it's been a 3-year wait. You're supposed to have 3 years on before you can do that, put in that request. But again, that's all on the department needs. There are some detectives that have less than 3 years because of the department need. So it all depends on the needs of the department, obviously. But like the specialized units, the narcotics and ESU, BSO, which is Bureau of Special Operations, which is pretty much like our SWAT team. You need experience. They're not going to take rookies. You need some street experience.
Right. That makes sense. And then obviously, we always talk when we talk about different career fields with the teens about whether you're more working on your own or whether you're working in more of a team setting. Obviously, I would think within the police department, it's more of a team setting. So could you talk a little bit about that and who else you're interacting with on a daily basis? Obviously, you have partners and things like that.
Okay. Most cars in Nassau County are single person. They call them radio mobile patrol cars. I believe they call it RMPs, they call them. There's only a few double cars. So you are most of the time by yourself, but you always respond to a call. Our dispatch will respond, will dispatch 2 cars to each call. So you're really never alone at a call. But your workstation, you're by yourself pretty much in your car, eating your lunch, doing your thing, you're by yourself. Yes, you do, meet up with people, you meet up with your supervisors, and, they'll ask you what you're doing for the day and what have you done. Let me see your book and what calls have you gone to. So there is interaction there as well. But a lot of times there could be times where, you're not, like you said, in a team. You're not in a team sometimes.
Right.
But so that's another case where you need to know what you're doing. Because you don't always have a partner. And if you do, if you think you have a partner, it could be somebody that, hey, maybe someone's sick and there's another person that's working next to you and you don't know them that well, but they both officers know what they're doing. So you're going to work and gel together the right way. So that's another reason that everyone's got to pay attention, have each other's backs. And our main goal, as a police department, as a police officer, is getting home safely at night. That's our main goal. No matter what happens, everyone wants to get home after their tour is over.
Of course, yeah. And then obviously technology has changed. We've even seen it this year with Zooming and everything else. How would you say that technology has changed within the police department? Do you see it changing even further moving on? And how do you kind of stay on top of the new changes in technology within the department?
Okay. For instance, for technology, we have a computer system in our car now. The computer system has GPS in it, so they'll know, headquarters knows exactly where we are all the time. They know when we're responding. They, even if we forget over the radio to say, hey, we're arriving at the scene, they'll know we're there because they can see it on the computer, which is a good thing. There's, what else? There's new laser guns for speed detection. That's a good new technology. And the main thing right now is body cameras. Nassau County did not have body cameras. We will be getting them now. We just agreed upon it. So every officer by the end of this year will be having a body camera, which is great. We're not against it at all. It actually, I believe it helps us. That just takes a little training, and then like I said, it's going to minimize complaints, I believe. So it's a good thing, the technology that's out there. So the body cameras, it'll be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And then, obviously in certain career fields, there are times of the year that are busier than others. I was just wondering if that's something that you find. Are there certain times of the year that are busier than others, or is it pretty much, steady throughout the year?
It all depends what type of crime we're talking about.
Gotcha.
It's pretty steady during the year, but during the holiday season, time in December, the larcenies do pick up. People do tend to go into, unlock cars and try to get the money. They'll try to steal and sell on Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that, or to the pawn shops. So during the holiday season, it does pick up a little bit. But otherwise, every day we have an aided case. Every day we'll have a domestic case. Every day we'll have an auto accident. So it's a fairly steady thing.
Gotcha. And then I know we talked about testing, and obviously there's a lot of physical testing, psychological testing that goes on. Are there any particular licenses that they need to acquire in order to be a police officer?
Nope. When you graduate, you're going to get your certification from the Department of Criminal Justice in New York, and that'll be your police officer certification. And excuse me, and that's what you need.
Perfect. And then also we always talk about opportunities for advancement. Obviously, law enforcement is a very large, career field. And would you say that there's a lot of advancement opportunities, and how do you go about that? Is it something that you apply to? Is it, certain positions require certain trainings and things like that?
Yes. So we have a ranking system in the police department, from police officer. Then you have, I guess you want to call it an assignment would be detectives. They're still police officer ranking, but they have a detective, I guess you'd call rank as well, but they're still police officers as well. They're not supervisors, excuse me.
Gotcha.
So then you go to your sergeants, lieutenants, captains, deputy inspector, inspector, and then you go to chiefs. So you would have to become a sergeant, you have to take a sergeant's test. Same thing with lieutenant, and same thing with captain. There's tests that you have to take. Excuse me, after captain, it's appointed. The commissioner will then appoint the inspectors, the deputy inspectors, excuse me, and then the inspectors, and so on. So yes, it as it goes on and higher, the tests are more difficult. But with the difficulty in the test and the title, comes responsibility. So that's how our system works here.
Right. And then obviously, going through the academy and getting all of these, this training, obviously you're gaining a lot of skills, a lot of different expertise. Are there other fields that these skills and expertise would transfer well into other than the police academy?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like the reading and the writing that you constantly do here, and the investigations that you constantly do. When you retire, let's say, it's a 20-year retirement here. I don't think anybody ever retires after 20 years, but you can retire after 20 years and bring your skill set somewhere else and do something. A lot of guys here do like the surveillance afterwards, or any type of security. You bring your skill set further and expand on it after the police department. So yeah, there's definitely whatever you learn here is definitely you could use. I guess in the civilian world, I guess you could say.
Right. Right. And then what would you say for a teen that is considering entering law enforcement? What are some type of interests or abilities or skills that you feel would be helpful for a person who to be successful in this occupation?
Okay. Well, first is the physical thing. Make sure you're physically fit. Second, reading and writing and comprehension is a huge thing here. When you're doing your reports, the supervisors have to read over it and sign off on it. If it's not legible or you're not writing the correct things, they will get kicked back, and you don't want that. You don't want to be known as that cop. So those are some skills that you need to brush up and work on and make sure you're I would say advanced in.
Right.
So besides, memory is a good thing too. Let's say you're chasing somebody and they get away and you have to go over the radio. You got to make sure you know what they're wearing, what they look like. So memory is another good skill set to improve upon. Trying to think what else is. I'm sure there's other things I'm missing.
Yeah, no worries. And then obviously we're talking about teens who are considering entering the career field. Is there anything that they could be doing now while they're in high school to either work on some of those skills, or are there internships? Are there part-time jobs that they could be exploring while they're in high school?
Well, for the police department, I know we do some internships and what they call ride-alongs. We have a ride-along program. Not many people do it now because it's a little dangerous, but we do have it if people are interested in that. they could contact us at the precinct and we could try to get them going there if they're interested. But just in general, there's like, I went to college for criminal justice and sociology. I thought as a police officer, that's what I would need to have, but I really didn't, to be honest with you.
Gotcha.
Like I said, it's that general knowledge test that you have to take first. But that knowledge that I did have from the criminal justice, it is working, today. So it wasn't a waste.
Right.
So, I studied the constitutional law, the penal law, and everything in college. So now it all comes ahead to today's world. But again, do you need to really study and know everything in the police world prior to becoming a police officer and taking that test? No, you don't. These are things you would learn in the academy, and they'll train you. And before you leave that 6 to 7 months academy, you will know the ins and outs of every law and what to do and how to handle the public.
Right. And then I guess my last question would just be any words of advice, any last minute, things that you would like to say to teens that are entering or thinking about entering this career field, something to keep in mind, anything.
Breathe. Just breathe. That, to me, a lot of people get caught up in they're all worried, they're anxious, nervous. Just breathe, and you'll get through it. Like I said, like the academy-ish thing is, it's a game. They're trying to break you down and to build you back up. If you breathe and get through it, you'll be fine. If you can't get over the wall, we'll get you over that wall. So we're a team. That's one thing about the police department. You're a big family. I know it's cliche to say, but it's a family. So when and if they get through it, they'll become the part of the family.
Gotcha. And then I'm sorry, one last thing.
Okay.
What would you say is the best part of your job?
Oh boy. Part of my job. Another thing, it's another, I guess, cliche you want to call it, is helping people. A lot of cops will say, "Oh, I like helping people." Yeah. Is that one of the main reasons I became a police officer? Yeah, I wanted to help people. So yes, I guess that's what I would say, to help people is, that's that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, I'm not really sure what else is.
Yeah, that's great. All right, well, I just want to say thank you so much to Officer Brohman for joining us today. And, here at the Levittown Library, we do want to say thank you for all that you have done, and the police department in general, especially during this last crazy year. So we just want to say thank you to you, your division, and, the police department in general. And thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.